Okay, so now we're at the point where we're going to have to add a ball of wool. You're going to want to do it at the edge of your work for this project. The only reason why is because you are beginning to learn how to crochet, and it's just easier if you're on the edge of your project. So you may end up with a pretty long line of wool that you're going to, what you call waste, but you don't have to waste it either. There's other ways to use that. So what we're going to do is you're going to take the end from your other ball, and you're going to just loop it like that. Then you're going to take your hook, and you're going to take your loop here, and you can just wrap it like you would when you're doing a chain, and you just pull it through the loop, and then tighten the loop, tighten your old color, your old ball of wool like that, and then using the new one. Make sure that you don't use your end. Make sure you use the working yarn of the new ball, and you're going to chain one, and then you'll turn your project around. Now I ended on an odd row. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, in order to hide these, I could leave it to the very end and weave them in at the end, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to just tuck them away underneath my stitches. So I'm going to line them up over top just like this. So now I'm going to do a single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then the ends are just hidden underneath your stitches and held there. And you'll just keep going either until you're satisfied that your yarn is hidden, is going to be not fall out, because you don't want it to loosen up too much, because otherwise then you may find that it'll start to loosen up where you change the color, and you don't want that. But make sure that you're holding the other two down, because then that way you don't get confused as to what yarn you're working with, and it just kind of tightens up that color. But don't tighten it up too much, otherwise you'll end up with a tight spot in your work. I recommend probably going for this one, because I was a little short on mine. I'll probably go as close to the end of this as I can. So at least 2, maybe 3 inches over on the project. Now I do know that sometimes when working with the wool, sometimes based on how much you lose when you change your wool, you can end up not having a full 13 inches height. That's all right if you don't have a full 13 inches height. Close to, like, I've gotten to 12.5 sometimes, to 12 3/4, and that should be just fine as well. And then after this, all you're going to do is you're just going to keep repeating your pattern from 2 to 5 all the way up to the point where you hit 13 inches. Now, if you're wanting to do this and make sure that they're always the same size, you could keep a track of how many rows you make to get to the 13 inches. That way then, every time, because especially if you keep your crocheting at a regular gauge, then it should always be, let's say, 30 rows to make 13 inches. And it will always be 30 rows. And if you keep measuring as you go, you'll always make sure that you're keeping at 13 inches. Or if you just like to go from to, take the 2 balls and just keep going until the 2 balls are gone, that works too. So come back when you're done up to the top, and we will continue from there.